Hey guys, thanks for joining me. This is Pete Brizio with the first edition of Crucial Elements Reverse Osmosis Hydroponics. What we're going to be discussing today is the unpacking of our Crucial Element RO system, everything that we can expect to get in the box when we purchase it from a local retailer or we get it shipped to us over the internet. First things first, I inspect the box. I don't really have any damage, so I'm just going to dig right in. First thing you'll notice when unpacking your Crucial Element Rain RO system is the foam packing that has been thoroughly placed so that it can ship safely. I'm going to go ahead and get some of this packing out of the box. And for now, I can just discard my foam packaging. And I've now got my Crucial Element Rain RO system. 200 gallons per day. These units will come equipped with automatic shutoff valve, pressure gauge, which will allow you to register the pressure that you're running at, as well as the 1 micron sediment filter and heavy duty carbon block right behind him. If you notice, you have your installation packet. First thing I'll notice is my standard 1/4 inch hose bib adapter, which I will be supplying my unit the water with from. I've got my 10-inch filter wrench, which will allow me to make filter changes a lot easier in the future. I've got my 2 lengths of 1/4 inch RO tubing. Also got my RO membranes and my owner's instruction manual, along with my 2 100 gallon per day reverse osmosis membranes. This unit is now ready to install. I am at my wet test bench here in my shop, so I'm gonna make things a little easier. I've got my cold water line, which is being supplied to me from the city. Go ahead and disconnect this black hose, which we will use for a feed line. Most customers will install this either in their garden or outside, where they'll be using their garden spigot. To connect this fitting, all that we're going to do is push the 1/4 inch tubing inside the quick connect, and you'll notice it fastens right away. If we need to disconnect the tubing, we're going to hold our fingers flush on the quick connect collar, and we're going to pull the tubing right out. So again, I just push it in, it won't go anywhere, but if I hold the collar, it does pull right out. For our demonstration, we're going to go ahead and go off the 1/4 inch line, cold, not hot. If we use hot water, we can potentially melt our membranes. And then I'm going to take my reverse osmosis membranes provided, and I'm going to disconnect the membrane housing and install them. So again, with the quick connect fittings, we're gonna place our fingers on the collar and pull the tubing out. I take the collar, push it in, tubing comes right out. Then unscrew these membrane caps. Be careful, there are O-rings that are on the caps that can become missing, and then we'll have a leaky system. Taking my 2 Aqua Engineering and Equipment membranes, I'm going to go ahead and get them installed in either of the membrane housings. What we're going to want to do is make sure that the 2 O-rings do go into the housing first. There will be a black seal, that's called the brine seal, that'll be closest to the feed side. And you will feel it push into the housing as it seats within the collection cup. Same process, double O-ring first, brine seal at the end. Push it, you'll feel it seat, and then you'll take your cap, go ahead and just screw it back on. Get the cap all the way on there, again, so that we don't create any leaks. Now that I've got both my reverse osmosis membranes installed in their housings, I'm going to go ahead and connect my RO unit to my Resi. The best way to do this is to come off of the automatic shutoff valve, which will be pre-installed on your Crucial Element reverse osmosis system. I'm going to take the previously supplied product tube and I'm going to connect it to the only open port on this automatic shutoff valve. If you notice, there are 4 ports, all 3 are full, there's only 1 open port. We're going to go ahead and just take the tubing and push it in there like we do with the rest of our quick connect fittings. Now that I've connected my product tube to my reverse osmosis system, what I'll be doing is I'll be connecting my product tube to my float valve in my 40-gallon resi, also provided by Crucial Elements. I'm gonna go ahead and got my 40-gallon resi on standby. It is a FDA-approved polypropylene plastic. This is very important for reasons that we're gonna discuss in a couple of moments. What we're gonna do is just pop off the lid to our container. You'll notice it's almost airtight, being that you're gonna have a hard time getting the lid on and off. I take my previously prepared 1/2-inch drill bit and I go anywhere along the tank as close to the top as possible without interfering with the lid. See, I have a nice clean hole at the end. I will then take my float valve. I'm going to take off this end piece. Be careful, as there are a couple of pieces inside of there that I don't want to lose. I'm then going to disconnect my fastening nut. Unscrew it all the way. And then this should slide right through our drilled hole, making a nice fitment. You'll see that the rubber grommet will press right up against the side of the tank. And as our attachment nut gets put back on the outside, it will sandwich the float valve very firmly against the resi. And at this point, we can take the product tube out of our system, hook it to the compression nut, being sure to pass it through the pieces that were inside the compression nut, and then just simply push it into the float as far as it will go, take the compression nut behind it, and secure it. Kind of just close it a couple times until it gets tight. Then you'll notice this tubing will no longer slide or go anywhere, no matter what's going on, which is important. I'm going to now prepare my drain line so that I can have continuous drain. And I'm at my slop sink, so of course I can just let this drain down into the sink, no problem. And I'm going to turn it on slowly. This is important because even though Crucial Elements pressure tests for leaks up to 100 psi, items do shift around during shipping. So an O-ring could have gotten moved a little bit, the tube could have become disconnected. So I do recommend to turn on the water slowly, not 100%. See, my first chamber has filled up, my sediment filter, grabbing any particulate matter. My second chamber is equally as important. This is my carbon block filter. It's going to remove chlorine from the water, which is absolutely vital because if we have chlorine in our water, we're going to kill our reverse osmosis membranes. Reverse osmosis membranes are very expensive. We do not want to do this. Membranes should last us at least a year or more. And I have a good healthy stream of wastewater, which is good. My pressure gauge is also starting to register. I'm now at 40 psi and building. And I don't have any leaks, which is good. I can now turn on the water full blast, 100%. You will now see that my pressure gauge has actually risen to about 60 pounds of pressure, about 60 psi. It is very important for us to flush our membranes. What this means is that we're going to be discarding the first couple of gallons of water that we produce. If I go over here to my storage resi, I can actually see water starting to drip out very slowly. This is a good indicator. Reverse osmosis systems will create water very slowly. If you see a fast stream of water coming out of your RO system, there's a good chance the membrane either hasn't been seated properly or something else is wrong. So to stop everything would be my recommendation and check all the connections. I'm gonna grab my TDS meter so I can tell when my total dissolved solids are at an acceptable level for my indoor garden. Notice if I turn this on, it shows 0 parts per million because there's no water and it's not actually conducting any electricity. What I'm then going to do is grab some of my RO water, which is currently being produced. This is going to be a high number, and the reason I'm demonstrating this is to show you this high number. This is only at 23 parts per million, which seems pretty good, but let's check it in about 10 seconds from right now, understanding that we are actually flushing a preservative that is on the membrane surface. It's now been a couple of minutes. I've let my RO system make a few gallons of water and I've discarded them because the TDS was a little bit too high than what my plants would favor. So I'm going to now collect a little bit more water in my collection cup for my TDS meter. Then gonna put my TDS pen in the cup and it now says 8 parts per million, which is good. I'm sure if I let my system run for a few minutes more, it might drop to 7 or 6 parts per million, but this is acceptable for my nutrient level in order to get a basis. So let's go ahead and check the functionality of our system. When our resi is full, our system's drain water, which here is being shown is produced very healthy. As a side note, you should expect about 3 or 4 parts waste for every 1 part product. That is standard with any RO system. We do have specific RO systems that are low wastewater ratio that you can call or email us about, and we'll discuss and see if it's right for your application. Assuming that my resi is full, my float valve then would lift and the product will build pressure for anywhere between 30 seconds to 2 minutes. As long as you see this healthy stream of wastewater, you know that the unit has not shut off yet. And within a couple of minutes, I should feel, or see rather, my wastewater discontinuing itself, going down to absolutely nothing. There will, of course, be some water left inside the membrane housings that will gravity feed out. This is slowing to nothing, though. In a couple of seconds, there will be absolutely nothing leaving this tubing. Another indicator that the automatic shutoff has triggered and has worked is that the pressure gauge that was normally on the system registering 60 psi now shows 0 psi, because in effect we have cut the incoming water pressure that's going into the membranes. So we're not going to have any water pressure on the gauge, and you can see again our drain line's kind of petering down next to nothing. Again, there is some fluid within the system, so it does take it a second kind of to just empty out, but this is a successfully stopped drain line. Now we have our system completely automated. When the float valve drops back in the other position, the system will turn on, making wastewater and product water again until the float valve raises up. This system is completely set up now for you to take your low part per million water, add your nutrients to it, and integrate it into your growth system.